Anytime Kitty Pryde comes up, there's always an area of conflict in my heart because of the things she did in the 80s. What were those things? Well, she was dropping the N-word with a hard R on 3 separate occasions, but context is important, so let's get into it. I'm going to list off the instances and then we'll circle back around to why they fell flat. The first instance happens in the 1982 graphic novel God Loves, Man Kills. Kitty Pryde gets into a scrap with a kid named Danny because Danny is talking about all the good that William Stryker is doing on getting mutants off the streets. William Stryker is doing this with violence. Colossus comes out and separates Kitty and the kid Danny, and then Danny calls Kitty a mutie lover. Kitty's dance instructor, Stevie Hunter, a black woman, comes out and tells Kitty essentially like, yo, don't let his words bother you. You could have fucked that kid up with all your training. Let it go. Kitty, who was a frustrated teenager at the time, asked Stevie, how can you be so calm about this? Maybe you'd be less tolerant about him if he called me a hard R lover instead. And then Kitty runs off. Colossus says that Kitty is upset and that she didn't mean what she said. When Stevie's alone, she says to herself, yes, she did, my friend. She meant every word. And then she says, and Kitty's right, too. The fuck she is. The second time occurs in 1985 in Uncanny X-Men 196. It's when Professor Xavier is teaching at a college and some students of his find out that he's a mutant and they plan on killing him. Kitty Pryde is investigating a bunch of students, and when she runs into one group, she's confronted by a black dude named Phil. Phil asks her if she goes to Xavier's school upstate. Kitty says, yeah, common knowledge. Phil says, then that makes you a mutie, like him. Kitty Pryde says, well, I don't know, Phil. Does that make you a hard R? We see how Phil reacts, being like, yo, watch your mouth. And Kitty's like, well, then don't try to use these words that intentionally hurt to put people down. Irony. The third time occurs in New Mutants number 45 in 1986. There's a mutant that commits suicide in a local high school. Kitty gives a speech about the boy's death. In Kitty's speech, she name drops a bunch of different ethnic slurs and talks about how people either laugh it off, they joke around with them, and how it hit close to home for this boy because they actually were a mutant and they were called mutie, which led to the suicide. So it's important to note that these stories happened under Chris Claremont's run. Chris Claremont had a 16-year run on X-Men that is considered the Bible for the X-Men. When we talk about the X-Men being an allegory for civil rights, you're talking about the work that Chris Claremont did. Fam, Claremont was highlighting X-Men of different heritage, X-Men with different cultures. He was taking steps towards flipping gender roles in the X-Men. My man was really doing the Lord's work. However, that doesn't mean that everything always went off without a hitch. There are some missteps within the writing, as we see here. So circling back to the situation with Stevie Hunter and the hard R lover comment, we know the Marvel Universe is basically supposed to be the real world. Everything that happens in the real world happens in the Marvel Universe. Knowing that, mutie is still a made-up thing in a fictional world. It does not hold the weight, it doesn't hold the context, and it doesn't hold the history of the hard R. So Kitty, who is a white presenting woman that no one knows is Jewish unless she tells them, talking reckless this way to Stevie Hunter, who was a black woman in America, aka the most disrespected person in America, is wild. If this moment is supposed to be an educational moment for white readers, take this black woman out of it. Don't use that slur against her. Have these two white characters talk about intolerance then. You will run into this problem every single time when you have a white presenting mutant talking to a black person or person of color about intolerance. It does not hit the same. Don't even get me started on Kitty running away after saying that. No. You said that. Come back here, little girl. Come back here and stand on that. We're going to have this conversation now. And then Stevie being like, oh, she's right. The fuck she is. Once again, it does not go down like that in the real world. If Marvel's supposed to be the real world, that conversation goes way differently. This woman knows about tolerance. This woman knows about when she has to let things go because she's a black woman living in America, fam. You don't know nothing about this, little girl. In this second instance, I'm not saying that black folk can't be the bad guy as we see here, obviously, but it's a thing where, okay, mutants are now below black people, so black people can feel equivalent to white people in having someone they can, like, look down upon here, which, is it? Because if it's the real world, they're still going to be discriminated against. They aren't accepted like that. Not to say that that doesn't happen, because sure, why not? But again, here, we're seeing a black person being used as a vehicle to prove a point. Who is this for? It's for the white readers then. As a black reader reading this, I'm like, okay, but why am I in it this way? And you might be asking, well, the speech was okay, so why do you count that as a third instance? I'm just saying, dog, those first two instances show you gotten real comfortable saying that hard R And it's like, okay, you do this nice speech, but again, why does this word have to keep coming up when you're trying to prove a point? Kitty Pryde be dropping hard R's like she's a damn smack URL battle rapper, yo. And obviously, I'm not doing this to imply that Kitty Pryde is racist. It's just that these things occurred, and she's got to be held to that. Kitty Pryde ain't holding fictional weight. She's holding real world weight because she used the real world slur multiple times. And that shit did not bang the way you thought it banged.